Hello and welcome to another episode of Inside Marine. Today, I'm really pleased to be chatting with a leading business development consultant and influencer from the superyacht industry. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Marcela de Kern Royer. Hey there, Marcela.
Hi there, James. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a great honor. I'm really excited to be here.
It's great to be speaking to you. And I know that you've interrupted your holiday and your family time, especially to speak to us today. So thank you for that.
No, I love it. Don't worry.
Good stuff. So if you've heard any of these episodes before, you know that we like to go right back to the beginning to start with. And we really want to cover your journey up to now, especially, of course, in the superyacht industry. But you have such a fascinating background as well. And, you know, wow, I'm worried we're going to fit it all in. But I can't wait to get going. Yeah. And so if I may, let's go right back to the beginning and let us know kind of what brought you into this industry, but also the journey even up to that point.
Sure. So what's funny is that every time I ask people the same question, like, how did you start in the industry? It's like 99%, it just happened. I just stumbled upon it, because back in the time, it was not even considered a real industry as per se. Nobody really studied yachting and, wanted to be in yachting. It was kind of like a thing that you just landed up on your feet. And that was certainly my case. So I got a BSBA, so a finance degree from University in Monaco in 2008. So if you remember, in 2008, that was the financial crisis, and a new recent business graduate of a finance class looking for a job, especially being an immigrant. I'm originally from Guatemala. So finding a job and being like, hey, by the way, I also need a work permit and a visa in 2008, and all I could bring was a financial degree. So in the financial crisis, so it was really tough. It was definitely a challenge and not easy. And then, long story short, I'm not going to bore you into all the steps, but long story short, there was a company opening offices in Antibes, and they were doing underwater lights. Back in the time, nobody knew what underwater lights were. So I literally had to go and convince people to open a hole in the holes to put something that they didn't understand. And that was super expensive, right? And everybody told me it's not going to work, nobody wants it, So basically, I had to create a trend. And I had to sell ice to Eskimos and tell them that they needed this because it's so cool. So it was super hard. So I was in Antibes and I was I think 19 years old or something like that. And I was driving a Mini Cooper, and I was literally going from shipyard to shipyard, from port to port, talking to all captains, talking to all shipyards, talking to all owners, project managers, brokers, yacht managers, and I was trying to create this buzz and this trend. And then that was when the technology of LED came out, and I was telling people, you need to change your halogens to LEDs, and they didn't get it. And then I had to create all of this buzz. But back in the time, there was no social media. I was still driving around with maps. I remember going around Germany and Italy and looking for the shipyards and getting lost and driving, and it was really difficult, but that gave me this tough skin. And this is I think if anybody is starting in the yachting industry, a sales job as a first job is it's going to prepare you for so many things, to give you all of this mental strength, emotional strength. You just become just like a warrior. You just don't give up, and then you will become very persuasive. So I think this is what made a lot of who I am right now. So I started like this, and then I went into yacht management in Monaco. Then I was doing a software for yacht management back then, and then I did my MBA in Boston, and then I decided I wanted to go back to yachting. I got really good offers to go to the real world, but then I went back, and then I got a really good offer as a business development director for Icon Yachts in the Netherlands. Mm-hmm. And then the rest is history.
Wow. So, and you know, in those sort of crossroad moments where you were considering jobs in the real world versus, you know, yachting, you know, what was it that really kind of drew you to yachting?
So I had an amazing job offer in San Francisco. They were paying for my flight, and you know, it was like really like super good. But I thought, you know, like I've been working so much building my reputation in yachting and my network and my contacts, and then that's all I know, right? I had a financial degree, but I worked only for a little while in finance in private banks, and then the rest, everything was yachting. So I thought, you know, you have to build a career. Like I see friends that change jobs all the time, and then sometimes they're a teacher, and the next time they work in the media, and then the next time they work in something else, and then they, you know, they don't have like a career path. And then I always thought, okay, at least I'm going to build a career in one playground, and you have to choose your playground, like where are you going to play, right? Because that's going to become your life, that's going to become your friends, that's going to become your lifestyle. So I was like, okay, I need to choose. You know, I could of course go back to finance, but I also got like top Forbes 500. I got offers in Coca-Cola. I got offers in like, you know, the big companies. But if I started into a new industry, you start from zero. Nobody knows you. You don't know anybody. You have to build up this credibility. You have to build your network. And I was just like, I'm just gonna try and see if I can go back to yachting and then have a career that I like. Otherwise, you know, there's always the real world.
Yeah. And would you say you've always kind of, even back then, had a bit of a, I guess, a vision and been very kind of goal driven, you know, with that career? I'm just going to add a bit more there. I remember meeting you for the first time years ago at Metz, and I think, you know, we were, I think I can't remember the year it was, but I think that was one of the points where you were looking for the next thing. We had a conversation. I remember walking away from that conversation just thinking, wow, you know, that is somebody who's got this absolute vision of where she wants to go, because we talked about all sorts of different roles and things, and it was a lot of no's from you, like, no, that's not where I want to go, and that's not for me, and you just seemed very sure. But is that something you've always kind of had, you know, right for the journey, that real kind of clear vision and drive in the direction?
I suppose I didn't know exactly what I wanted, but I knew exactly why I didn't want it. And this is really important. When you don't know what you want, at least start by kind of like checking out what is it that you don't want, and that's going to like help you track yourself. I mean, being I think an immigrant gives you this kind of like persuasion and hard work, and you have to make it happen. And once you have this breakthrough that you know that if you work hard towards any goal, anything is possible. And then once you do this 1 and 2 and 3, then, you know, it becomes kind of like really exciting. And every time you have a challenge, every time somebody says no, every time you get closed doors, you don't get disappointed. You just stand up and just keep on trying, right? It's kind of like you've proven yourself that you can do anything you want. And I mean, I had big goals back then when I met you, I suppose. I never thought I would end up to where I am now. You know, it's like there's a saying, something like shoot for the moon and you end up in the stars, something like this. It's like you shoot at something and then what you get is way much bigger than you ever imagined. I mean, right now I am, you know, living a life that I'm like, pinch me, I want to cry all the time. I'm just like, this is amazing. Of course I work hard, and then I think 99% of my friends could not have done it because it was tough, and it was like really a lot of hard work, but it is possible. And then with anything, you know, with anything, you just have to push through.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going back to the lighting days, I mean, that's really interesting that you were kind of, you know, a pretty young age, I suppose, just, you know, let out in, you know, into Europe and go and sell these lights, and, you know, trying to sell a brand new concept, which of course is what a lot of people try and do now if they're launching businesses or you know, trying to sell that new concept. I mean, is there anything particular that you were doing back then to try and, you know, get in the door and get people interested in this new concept?
So I recently read a quote somewhere that says the difference between a contact and a contract is the letter R, which means relationships. And that clicked so much. Like, I always knew that, but until I heard it, I was like, oh my God, this is it. You know, this is kind of like, I try to always build relationships. So, you know, that's what I was telling to you before, that my life, my job became my lifestyle, and my clients or whatever, they become my friends, you know. And there is just like, you just have to build relationships, and then you build this credibility and this authenticity. I mean, nobody likes to be sold, right? And then if you are there in a meeting with a suit and a tie with an agenda and stuff like this, whereas if you're at a bar and you're in a relaxed mode, guess which has the higher probabilities of, you know, getting your idea or your product or your service across better, right? So I think that building genuine relationships, so not faking it, but like building genuine relationships is key.
Yeah, look, I think that's really, really good advice. And there's two things that jump out of that from me. There's that appreciation and how valuable, you know, someone's network is obviously, you know, hugely important. And actually it doesn't have to be the biggest network in, you know, out there in the world, but it's absolutely how you value it and how you nurture it and how you look after those connections. And, you know, I love that what you just said about the, you know, the difference is the letter R in the relationships. And, you know, I'm definitely going to steal that one, Marcela, and take that away. I don't know. The other thing that really stood out for me there was just what you were saying about just kind of how much you just had to kind of keep going. And I think certainly in this kind of modern, you know, world, you know, of social media and things, like people hear of these kind of overnight successes, and there's this perception that, you know, if you're going to be successful, it has to happen very, very quickly. And if it hasn't happened very quickly, you've got to move on to something else.
No. Yeah. I think that, of course, we live in a generation of instant gratification. You want to feel pleasure all the time. You want to get that like, you want to get that notification, you want to eat, you want to have that drink. You don't have to wait, right? Like, we just get everything we want in like 5 minutes, right? And we are not used to delaying gratification. And I mean, yeah, it has taken me years. And even now, you know, I think that we're all humans, right? We all get the same doubts and the same fears, and we are like, can I really do it? And, you know, it's really human to get these doubts and these fears all the time. You just have to push through, you know? And I think nowadays, especially with social media and stuff like this, it's like you can get really easily discouraged, but the secret is just in keep on going. You don't need validation. You just need to believe in yourself, and then it's going to happen.
So just keeping it in the past for now, Marcela, you've obviously been in the industry now for 10, 12 years. Time goes fast, yeah. Right? And, you know, obviously right back at the beginning when you first came into it, you know, it was you had to deal with quite a big technology change, you know, in the lighting in that particular area that you were working with. But over the years, have you seen any particular kind of changes in, you know, in the industry, not just necessarily in technology, but just in general? I mean, what has changed for you?
Oh my God, I mean, it has changed a lot. I mean, if you think about it, 30 years ago, the biggest yacht was 30 meters, right? So it's an industry that grew exponentially, and we are just catching up, right? So not only in terms of technology, but in terms of professionalism, in terms of roles, there's been new roles, new demands. Boats are getting bigger. They have new regulations and new expectations, and then you have also new clientele. So before it was all very European, very American. Now we have the emerging markets, with Middle East and Russia and South America, Asia, India. So now we are seeing more of a global clientele with different expectations. So, I mean, I've seen it change dramatically, and I feel that in some ways the industry is still very old school, very behind. It's being, of course, run by people that started 25 years ago and 30 years ago, and it's still being run with that mentality, and you cannot solve today's problems with a mentality that we had in the 80s. You know, it's like it just doesn't work. So this is kind of like a mindset and a business strategy and everything that needs to be more modernized, because it still remains a very, I call it Jurassic industry in a way, because it needs a bit of a modernization, in my opinion.
Yeah. So what's missing? I mean, what do you want to see more of, do you think? What do we need to change?
A lot more professionalism. And this goes back to education, which is my mission. There's people, I mean, to be a broker, you can just print yourself a business card and call yourself a broker, right? To work on crew, you need to do like an easy preparation that, you know, in less than a year. You know, it's not like any other career where you need 4 to 7 years of career to be prepared of. It's still very wild west, you know, and there's a lot of elbows, and then everybody's just running. And I mean, we're working in the industry of where the asset is the most expensive asset any ultra high net worth individual can own, you know, so it's higher than real estate and jewelry and cars and you name it, you know. And yet the people running this industry and running the show not as professional or as educated as industries like aviation, for example, which is our benchmark. So I definitely feel that there is education missing and modern thinking, because everybody's like, well, we've always been doing it this way. Well, that is like the root of all evil, right? It's like, it's always been done like this. And then if this worked 20 years ago, it's going to work now. And believe me, it's not. I mean, we live in crazy times. Things are changing. I mean, even myself, which is like the millennials and the new generation, sometimes I feel I'm so out of it, because everything changes so quick, and if you're not up to the new marketing trends and then the new technology trends, you feel like you missed the train. So I mean, I feel like I'm on top of the game, and sometimes I'm like catching up. So I cannot even imagine. I mean, I've been dealing with, you know, captains and crew that are literally computer illiterate. You know, they type with one finger and they don't know how to use a computer at all. And nowadays you have to be just like, you know, up to speed. And even me, sometimes I feel like, oh my God, I need to learn this new thing and I need to learn this new skill. And then, you know, the new generation are just so different from me. And I am not old, you know, and they are just thinking different, acting different. I mean, we see people chartering more instead of buying. We see the sharing economy, you know, people are sharing their cars, Uber, sharing their house, Airbnb. Now we're going to see a lot of sharing yachts, but, you know, like the traditional ways of chartering is so old. You know, like how somebody wants to rent a car, you go to Sixt, right? Or to Hertz, whatever, you know how to rent a car. If you want to rent a boat, people don't know, and they have so many options, and they get screwed, and they get, you know, a lot of scams, and it is not straightforward. And a lot of people, they just don't do yachting just because it's so complicated.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I know that the professionalism and the education is something, you know, really, really important to you, so much so you're, you know, really building your brand and your business around it. And, you know, you've just, you know, recently brought out a book, a first of its kind book, textbook, you know, in the superyacht industry. I mean, tell me more about that and really the story behind that as well, how you chose what to focus on and how you really brought that to where it is today.
So before even my book, I mean, in 2013 or so, I wanted to start an association where I can meet other professionals, where I can learn from them. And this is why I founded Young Professionals in Yachting in Monaco. And I really wanted just to build my knowledge, you know, and there was a lot of things that I didn't know. And I'm like, how do I learn about paint and yacht insurance? And how do I learn about yacht building? You know, it's like, I mean, the industry, everything around the boat is just so much. And how do I learn about it? Because I mean, charter brokers, they know how to do their thing. Builders and engineers know how to do their thing. But we forget about the big picture, right, of the entire ecosystem around yachting. And so this is why I started with YPY. And then I was learning about classification and flag and yacht building. And I'm like, is there something I can read? You know, like, how do I learn about all of this terminology? I mean, I've been on boats all my life. You know, I was on a boat every weekend since I was born, you know, and yet I didn't have the vocabulary that I needed for yachting because, and I'm a sailor. I've been in the sailing team since I'm really, really, really young. And I just didn't have the yachting vocabulary, and I felt handicapped. And I'm like, what's a bulwark? And what's a, you know, bow thruster and all these things? And I'm just like, where do I learn this? And I was just so frustrated that there was nothing. So I was always asking questions. And because I mean, my network became my friends, I was asking engineers and naval athletes, and I'm like, what are the basics that I need to know about displacement and all of these things? Can you please teach me, you know? Can I write it down, you know? And all about, you know, outfit engineering and all these things, and, you know, in yacht design, and they were talking about the bow, reverse bow and the clipper bow. I'm like, where do I learn about bows? I mean, everybody talks as if everybody knows everything. And I'm just like, I mean, how do you know this, you know? And I was just so frustrated that there was nothing. And then I am honored that I'm in such a position that I, you know, I could call Tim Haywood, I could call Espen Oino, I could call Lurzen and Oceanco and be like, guys, can you just explain me, and that we can write it down in an easy way? And they all opened the door. So I felt super, super honored that everybody was sharing this knowledge, that we could just make the industry more professional, more transparent, and have something that if you don't know anything about yacht charter, that you could read about it. I mean, before my book, there was absolutely nothing. What is the process of yacht charter? What happens in an itinerary? What's an API? This and this and this and this and this. There was zero, absolutely nothing. So I was just so frustrated because I am a very academic person myself. I love to read. My husband went to Harvard. I have a PhD. I have an MBA. All of my brothers went to Ivy League universities. So I come from a very academic background, and I love to read. And I was just like, what? There's nothing in yachting. Zero. Nothing. I mean, I called Lurs and Oceanco, guys, is there like a yacht building process? What is the difference between commissioning, delivery, and launching? Can you please explain me? No, there's nothing ever written. I was just, this is crazy, guys. So, I mean, if nobody's going to do it, I'll do it, you know?
Brilliant. Well done. And you know, that's been out for a while now. And I know that you've taken that book and you've taken it further now, haven't you, into actually a diploma that people can come and get involved in?
Yeah, so basically the Yacht Club in Monaco asked me, well, you know, can you please do a corporate training to our people and teach them about yachting, because all yacht clubs, they really focus only on sailing, but they don't really know much about yachting. And then I did the corporate training and they loved it so much. I had amazing feedback. Everybody's like, I never saw it this way. Like, you open our eyes and our perception to so many things that they told me we should really open it to the public. And then we created this curriculum and this yachting masterclass and the Superyacht Academy, which we have this 3-month program where we teach everything in depth. And in every class, we have like guest speakers. So let's learn about yacht design, but we have Espen Oino to tell you all about it. Let's talk about yacht building with Fedship and Oceanco to tell you all about yacht building, you know? So it's so in-depth and in detail and so personal. I made it so practical. I mean, I'm a good student, but I have no attention span. And nowadays, people don't have attention. I don't know how many people are actually going to watch this video up until now. If you have watched it until now, congratulations. But people don't have attention span, you know? So I was like, okay, I need to keep the content super direct, super practical, no bullshit, and how you can apply it on an everyday basis. So I was like, teaching aviation and what helicopters are suitable to go for yachts and stuff like this. And I was just not like giving only the theory. I'm like, okay, guys, all right. So next time you're in a yacht, you're gonna ask which helicopter model you have on board, and you're going to know the difference on the models. And this is how you can apply it. So every time you go out there, go and check the helicopter, which helicopter is on board. Now you know it. Now you have the eye. Now go on the port and tell me which design is done by who and what type of design is it. I want you to put it in practice, that you're sitting in a bar and you can point out and you know everything about a boat, and that you have the terminology and the vocabulary to sound like an expert. And then if everybody would do this and the whole industry would do this, we would just look so much better and so more professional. The problem is that a lot of these yacht owners are so disappointed of the lack of professionalism, because there is a lot of people that don't know what they're talking about, and all they want is to get money and find ways to, like, screw the rich. And they are uneducated, ignorant, arrogant, and it's just like, we cannot continue like this, because it's destroying our industry, because people are just saying, I just don't want to buy a yacht anymore. I'm just going to go and buy horses or art or invest in something else, right? Yeah. So I think it's important for the entire industry to play their part. Don't sound stupid, educate yourself. Now there's the book, now is the courses, and invest in your knowledge, because knowledge is power, especially in this industry. Somebody that knows more than you will kind of like diminish you and take you down, because he knows something that you don't, and therefore he will dominate you, and he will you will just like lose this power. So if you have knowledge, you have all of the tools to defend your point of view and to actually achieve your dreams in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So really interesting what you're saying, and because I've spoken to quite a few people about just the state of the market in general at the moment, and I get quite mixed answers, because obviously the market is very busy at the moment, because of COVID, and that's had a positive effect from a boat sales and a charter and that point of view, but there's a risk, I feel, that it's a bit of a bubble, and the industry as a whole has a bit of a responsibility now to almost really kind of look longer term with this newfound interest in yachting. And it doesn't even have to be super yachts, right? But just in boating and yachting in general. And it seems though, from talking to you, we've got this situation where we kind of have the current industry maybe not developing enough professionally. Maybe we're not looking at that next generation of customer in a different way than the traditional customer, and that new generation of customer wants something different from their experience in the industry and the level of professionalism. And I would say, although things are good, that maybe we're at a kind of quite a risky time with the industry as well, unless we get this right.
I think it might be a risk for some and an opportunity for others. And I see a lot of people with innovative ideas. And I'm here in Croatia, I'm meeting amazing people. Like, they know more about yachting than people in Monaco, They're super well prepared. They are, people in Croatia, everybody speaks English. Like, even like the janitor and the gardener, in the morning I speak with the gardener, they all speak English, It's amazing. And when I meet this, I teach at the University of Monaco, I teach in the university. I'm always around, my husband is in venture capital, so helping startups. So we're always around really bright people and genius young guys. And when I see all of these people with such amazing drive and education and ideas and thriving, and they are the future, and their dreams get crushed because when they step into the industry, they tell them it's not going to work. Oh no, and then there's all this arrogance and these reluctancies, and they don't know anything about the super yacht industry, how to get into it, and everybody just puts barriers and nobody wants to share knowledge. And I think that they tried it so hard, but you will see that in the next 5-10 years, it's these people that are going to actually take this opportunity that the industry is changing, that the world is changing. Internet, social media, reaching clients is a lot more easier and changing the perceptions. And then there's people that still do like advertising on magazines, and they want to pass a message on a printed article. And then there's this new generation that has never opened a magazine in their life, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that there is a lot of opportunity. So we will see a lot of change, and it's so exciting. And I'm always motivating young people and helping them with career advice, like what we do, and just which inspiring them and pushing them and helping them to do it, because 1 + 1 is not 2, as you know that, James. It's 5, you know. And if we just join forces and help each other, I mean, it's for the greater good. But the weak-minded, they don't want to help the neighbor because they feel threatened. And when you feel threatened, that means that you are not good enough, right? So I think that it's time to gear up and get your toolbox and get your backpack, and you invest in this, you know, and that it's going to bring you forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that you're seeing in the industry or up and coming at the moment that's really exciting you?
There's so much I could not I could not say, but I'm working on some projects, so I'll keep you tuned. But there's so much to look forward, so many new projects that are you know, on the pipeline, and that are going to revolutionize and change the entire yachting industry. Really?
Wow. Well, it sounds like you've got a few things going on you can't really open up about at the moment. But you know, in general, kind of outside of that, you know, what is, you know, what coming up in the next year, for example, you know, hopefully we're going to be opening up a lot more. We're going to get more face to face. Maybe the yacht shows are coming back. Is there anything that you're particularly excited about from that side of things? And how important is that for this industry right now?
Yacht shows.
Yeah, or just kind of getting the industry going again from a, you know, a face-to-face point of view, and more industry networking, and you know, and starting the industry to get back together to figure out what's next.
So yacht shows are definitely going to change. I mean, I am not a fan of yacht shows, and I think I'm going to get a lot of in trouble for saying this on the internet. But I think that the yachting experience needs to be radically changed, and it is not like, we need to segment, and we have to separate the difference between boats, so yachts under 24 meters, yachts and super yachts, and then they are all different clienteles, and hence they need different marketing strategies, and you cannot apply the same marketing and the same communication and the same message across, I mean, all different segments, right? So we're going to see that more B2B events, so more trade shows on B2B. And this is why I started with the Superyacht Industry Forum, because there is such a lack of just communication between the industry. Like, you know, people are working, the captain and the crew, they think that they are yachting, you know, and land-based, we think we are yachting, and we don't even communicate, you know. And shipyards, they would love to have feedback from crew more, and suppliers would like to have feedback from shipyards more. So I created the superyachtindustriforum.com as a platform where everybody can just talk and be like, hey guys, what do you think about this product or this idea, or start a debate and stuff like this, so that we can talk more, and that we can just like share these more things. And then if physically is not possible because of the situation, at least digitally, but find a way to reach more people and start this communication in an easy and friendlier way, because I mean, currently, like there was like the Superyacht Forum and whatever, but it was like super expensive. I mean, who can pay £3,000 to assist, you know? And I think that, you know, modern times is all about democratization. What's the word? Democratization, you know, of making things accessible to everybody, and then opening doors in the benefit of everybody. Because, you know, like shipyards, they want to, you know, now they want to segmentate and separate Monaco and like kind of like ignore the B2B and the suppliers and keep them as far away from the clients as possible. And I just think that's not fair, because suppliers are paying a lot of money to be at the show, and they're not even gonna get exposure to clients anymore. So I think that we need to, and then clients, they love the story behind the craftsmen, before the suppliers, before, oh my God, you invested so much in research and developing, and you came out with this super cool idea that I want on my yacht. This is awesome. Well done, you guys. I think people are, like, new generation are caring about the purpose behind it, and not so much about the show of Saint-Tropez, champagne. It's like, been there, done that. I don't want that. They want to hear the story. They want to have, it's all about storytelling. It's all about experience. It's all about emotion. It's all about relationships. So I think it's definitely going to change a lot, and I hope that to get a big momentum of going, of everybody that just feel this and want this and wants better industry, better connection with the end user, and better feedback from the end user as well, so that we can do what's best for them and what's best for us.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we hear a lot here, and that I've been hearing a lot, is the needs of the next generation of owner, or the next generation of charter customer. And there's a much more focus on the sustainability side of the industry. That's clearly important from people looking, outside in, and of course there's discussion starting around sustainability in the super yacht industry. But I mean, what's your thoughts on sustainability in the industry? Are we doing enough at the moment? Do we need to be doing more in that area? What's your thoughts on this?
Again, you're gonna get me into trouble for saying this online. So, I mean, we've all heard about, hydrogen and the new technologies of propulsion systems and stuff like this. But the thing is, like on electric cars, when you charge your car at night, like the electricity grid has the loads and it speaks, and then it's a reason to get this balance. And if you're charging your cars at night, then actually you're harming more than helping, right? So, I mean, sustainability is such a difficult one before, it's like either you're greenwashing or you're overdoing it, that it kills the business because it's too expensive. I mean, there's some people that says, well, compared to the entire like commercial industry and cruise ships and ships, I mean, boats are in a port 80% of the time, it's like they're only used in July, August, and they go from Monaco to Saint-Tropez, it's not that they are burning these amounts of fuel that is going, but we all have a responsibility, and we all have to start somewhere, and we all have to help. So of course we have now the new IMO regulation starting in 2025, where we need to reduce 50% of emissions. We all know this. And then MTU, I mean, everybody, all shipyards, and everybody's working into reducing emissions. And then crew are getting certificates and training on how to reduce plastic, and how to pollute less, and how to be more sustainable on board. So I think that from the crew side, they are really doing thinking a lot outside of the box on what can we do on board to wash less our things, to do small little things that have a bigger impact, and use the same water bottle for the entire crew. And then for people on board to have, water makers and ice makers and filters and everything. So I think that the industry is doing its best. So we see suppliers investing in research and development, engine manufacturers, shipyards investing a lot in research and development, and we see the new yachts being launched with new systems. So I mean, it is like a big buzz and a big, I mean, I think the industry is doing their best. We have amazing yacht owners like Black Pearl that are, pushing the envelope, and they are setting the standards, and then new people that are following. I mean, the biggest yacht in the world, Rev, 182 meters, also doing everything possible to be sustainable. You have the Water Revolution Foundation, you have the Sea Index Association. I mean, there's a lot going on around sustainability, considering that yachts, what they pollute it is so small compared to the rest of the other pollutants, right? But also, having all of these new batteries, oh yeah, you're not having emissions, but these batteries actually are worst, so having to balance everything, I think there's a lot of hypocrisy, and there's a lot of marketing blah blah. But I think as an industry, we all have to push forward and make these changes for the good of the world, but don't do it just because, oh yeah, I'm doing this for my business, but at home you are not sustainable, and at home you do other things and you drive crazy cars and you do this and you that. Oh yeah, but I just developed a product that is sustainable for yachts because it looks good.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think you've got to be all in, haven't you? Got to really buy into it in all areas to really make the difference. Yeah. So look, we've heard the past. We've talked about what you're up to right now, and you've sort of, I know there's a few projects you're involved with, which we look forward to hearing more about. But what is next for you? Marcela, you're a successful author. You've created an education diploma. You're successful at what you do. What's next for you? What's the goals?
Well, I mean, first and above all, I am a business consultant, which currently I'm developing Genoa Superyacht Hub. So this is my main priority right now, which we're creating this like crew village in Genova. There's a new marina, the waterfront marina, where we really focus on crew lifestyle and catering the demands of super yachts to the highest levels with Pestosi Group as yacht agent. So we're really kind of like raising the bar in terms of how we cater super yachts and how we provide this lifestyle for crew. So this is like the most important. Then the book, the courses, it's all my hobby. It's all what I do at night and on weekends. And then I'm also a mother of a 2-year-old. And what is next? I am actually today I finished. It hasn't been published yet, but today I finished. I wrote a book about a sailing book for children. So it's a storybook on how I teach my daughter how to sail and the basics about hearing the wind and the waves. And then it's through a really beautiful story that she learns about how to sail. And then the character, which is called Anna Cabana, goes for a swim and meets the whale that tells her about the pollution in the ocean and then teaches her. And then she comes back to land with a special message that we have to all to protect our ocean. So it's a beautiful book, which honestly is the most beautiful project I ever worked on. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to launch this year, and then I have a lot of other projects in the pipeline, but I need to keep my focus and prioritize.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that book sounds fantastic, and I think that the more that we can, talk to the younger people about and kids and stuff about these issues, so well done for that. That sounds. And
how to spark this love for the sea and inspire people to do yachting and try it, because a lot of people, they have not been on the water. A lot of people working in the yachting industry have never been on a boat, and a lot of yacht crew, 20% of yacht crew don't even know how to swim. So I think that by having this kind of children book, we are kind of like inspiring people to go out boating, which in the end is on the benefit of everybody, and enjoy the sea, but protect it. That's my message.
Yeah, definitely. So just to go to your Genoa project at the moment, you were talking about new experiences for crew, and it sounds like coming at the super yacht experience almost with a blank canvas and doing some new things. I mean, tell us a bit more about what's going to be different down there, and what are you excited about with that?
So I mean, currently, before there was ports, right, not marinas, they were used to cater fishing boats and commercial boats, and out of the sudden they get more and more pleasure boats, but they don't necessarily have all of the required. And then the boats that got bigger, they have different requirements. I mean, most of the big boats, they're on anchor because they're too big to come into ports. Most ports in the south of France are saturated. There is no space. and they don't have the right facility. So in Genoa, it's amazing because you have the turnkey, you have everything that yachts needs. And Pestosi Group are the oldest yacht agents. They started with yacht agencies. So being able to just solve the problems before they even know that. We have a crew village. So the new waterfront marina, there's like gyms and sports and football and basketball. And then it's just everything around assisting crew needs before they even need it. There is like crew residences, housing, we do activities, captain's events, suppliers, ship chandlers, services. You have Amico shipyard, which is inside the hub. So you have a shipyard, you have agencies, you have 2 new marinas, you have security, and we can service also new technologies, and it's like a turnkey package of services and experiences. So we also work with yacht charter brokers on itineraries and what to do around the area, and guest experiences around Portofino. And we, it's like we take care of everything. We take care of A to B, the entire customer journey, and everybody supporting that customer journey in Genoa.
Yeah. Great. Sounds brilliant. And it's obviously, with you involved, will be a huge success like everything else that you get involved with. So
thank you.
Good luck with that. So look, just as we kind of start to come to the end of the podcast this week, one of the things we like to do is get to know our guests a little bit more personally. And one of the things I'd love to ask you is, to help all the listeners get to know you a bit more outside of the business and the book and everything, is what's your perfect weekend? If you ever get a free weekend, what would that look like?
I just had my first my perfect weekend last weekend, so perfect. So yeah, I'm a workaholic and I don't stop working, but it's been 3 years I don't have a break. So last weekend we took a catamaran in Croatia, and I went with my family, and we had the most amazing weekend ever, just discovering the islands in Croatia. The people here are so nice, the bays are so beautiful, and just not wearing makeup and not picking up my phone, and just like deconnecting and feeling the nature and the sea. It was just the best weekend ever.
Yeah, brilliant. No, really, really great to get the young family out on boats and enjoying that from a young age. So
yeah, it was the best. Just waking up, going for a swim, exploring a new island, finding a nice cozy village, and then like a fisherman's hut where you can have some food and just have the simple life, and yeah, just be barefoot all day long.
Right. Well, look, one last question, Marcela, before we go. If you were giving a piece of advice to somebody thinking about coming into our industry, or who had just come into the industry, what piece of advice would that be?
Investing knowledge. Learn as much as you can. You don't want to be, you don't want to be you want to bring something to the table. You don't want to be in the table feeling like you're the one that knows the least, right? So I think invest in yourself, invest in knowledge, try to learn as much as you can, ask questions, don't be afraid. I find in this industry, there's always like the elephant in the room. It's like, even if you don't know about it, you don't ask because you're supposed to know, and it's going to make you look bad. And then the ignorance just perpetuates, So I just think like, don't be afraid to ask, and go to ask people, and they're like, hey, what do you do? And how does this work? And can you teach me about this? And just don't be afraid to ask as many questions, read books, go to seminars, assist to events, join YPY, this is accessible for most people. Join these young professionals and yachting associations, do networking, meet people, build relationships, genuine relationships. Yeah, so I think learn as much as you can and build your network.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, look, Marcela, it's been brilliant chatting to you today, and thank you so much for the time. It's been fascinating hearing about your journey and what's next, and all the successes that you've had along the way. And hopefully you can come back again soon and give us an update with what you've been up to.
Yeah, no, but I mean, this is the whole point with the partnership Onboard and Marine Resources, is that we are here for you guys. We are really like, I love James because he's as passionate as I am in helping people. So we are here to help you in your career development in yachting. So don't hesitate to reach out and learn and see how we can help you in your career in the super yacht industry. So welcome on board.
Yeah, great. Marcela, thanks again. We'll speak soon.
Thank you, James.